the ongoing U.S.-Iran issues with the conflict. It's been over 6 months.
Wow.
You have the Strait of Hormuz. Am I saying that right? Strait of Hormuz?
I think, now that you're saying it like that, I kind of... Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz.
Strait of Hormuz. I mean, people should know by now, but it's a very important area, just with all of the shipping routes that happen through that. And it affects everything, especially energy, because a lot of energy production is kind of flowed through in and out of there. They're talking about threatening even more sanctions on Iran and Tehran, which is the capital of Iran. They basically are like, if you escalate this, we're going to escalate this, obviously, because those guys don't play around. And I just don't know what the play is here, because it's one of those weird scenarios where you're kind of at like a little bit of this awkward stalemate, because if you leave, Iran's just going to claim victory. And I think that's the last thing I think Trump and his administration, especially Trump with his ego, I think that's the last thing that he wants to feel as though someone got one up on him, especially when he started it technically. So I don't know what's a good option. I don't.
Well, you can see, because like when we first got into this, by the way, it's going to end soon, because Trump said for the 60th time, he's like, this is your last chance before we blow it up. This is the 60th, this is the 61st last chance, right? Before we start blowing it up. Every time I go to the gym, there's this, he's saying something
last chance.
This is the last time. This is the last time, right? So we've heard this for like 3 months. It's just hilarious. Because no one's going to take you seriously. So what was your question? What's the end game? Or
well, yeah, I guess how do you wrap this up? Because look, they have the midterms coming up. This is the last thing you want rolling around with the midterms. And they have made so many blunders. His administration and just him personally have made so many blunders, and they've just been tripping over themselves recently. And this is the biggest one. Obviously, the PDF files with Epstein, that was a huge blunder. I mean, you couldn't have effed that thing up worse than just completely disregarding it, and then everyone's badgering you to release it, and then you go, oh, here are the files, we found them. Same thing with this, is like, no one wanted this. No one asked for this. It's very clear that there are either outside forces from other countries like Israel, or there's insiders that want this to occur. And with Trump being I'm Mr. No Insider, I'm the outsider businessman, it just shows you, man. It just shows you, like, even if Trump can be controlled, which he says he's, Mr. I'm not controlled, no one tells me what to do. Not literally, but that's the vibe you get. He's forced into this.
Fully controlled.
Yeah, fully controlled. I'm just like, man, what's a clean way to get out of this? I don't know if they can get cleanly out of it, because they have to back Israel at this point, and there's no way to turn around.
No, and they are, Israel is an ally, and sorry, did you have more to?
No, you're good.
Okay. Dude, I don't know, because I think I told you last time or the time before, you just get out, because here's the thing, like, we know what happened with Afghanistan. We know what happened with Iraq. Like, you have to eventually cut this off, but at the end of the day, those two countries didn't have a say and an ability to flip a switch and turn off or on 20% of the oil in the world, right? And the reason they were able to get it down to when they initially cut it off and they had like 25% of the oil just disappeared like that. Other countries around the world came together and they started tapping into their reserves, so that Iran was only holding around 5 to 7%. So they didn't have they didn't have a crazy pull, but everyone started to, they are reserves. They're not unlimited. You have to have a constant flow. You can't just, turn it off and on like that. So this is a cataclysmic F up, bro. I don't know how else to we're getting into another endless war. This is the one thing we voted against and not to happen. Like one of the main 2 or 3 issues. I don't know, how does this keep happening? I'm getting mad. All right, I gotta take it back a little bit. I had this. So Circle K coffee is no joke, and now it's hitting. It's activating the peptides from yesterday. So let me just calmly say, the hell with it. Just, I don't know, start drilling, start doing something here. We just took Venezuela, start drilling the hell out of those waters. They apparently have the biggest reserves, right? We took it over, just take them. Get the heck out of this, right? Because there's only 2 things that are going to happen. This is disrupting the world economy, right? Because people start doing things with stocks, they get scared. It's just, it's crazy, right? As long as there's a war, people are. So it's either going to just keep messing up the world economy, or they're going to be forced to put troops on the ground. There's no good end. I remember people on Fox News when this first started happening, they're like, yeah, this is only going to take like 2 weeks. And even then I was like, you guys are absolutely retarded. When they took Maduro, I was terrified that we were going to get into something down there. And then we didn't. I was very proud that we did. I mean, I don't think we should have probably snatched the guy anyway, but like I was proud that didn't happen. And then I think he got such a big hit. He's like, we can do this anywhere. I am the man, Mr. Golden Boy, right? So then he went into Iran, and it's like, no. This is a sand war. You can't win this, ever. So I just think it's absolutely... But Tyler, you got to remember, this is the 61st chance. It's going to happen this week.
This is the last time.
It's the last time. Okay? But no, I say get the hell out. Say it was a victory. And then you have to figure out, but then they can turn off and on the Strait of Hormuz at any time they want. They have this switch that just screws up everything, and you can't invade. I had this funny thing. If they do invade, I just want all the troops to be like, no, I'm not doing this. We know this isn't for our country. Yeah, dude, it is absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's some mess. I agree. I completely agree. I think Venezuela was almost like a warm-up, and then Iran was kind of the real deal. Not the same thing. Not the same thing at all. Venezuela has not been in constant conflict like Iran has. Any country over there is worth their salt because of the fact that they've been there for that long. Because they're in constant war and in constant conflict, and it's just chaos. It's chaos all the time over there. So they're used to that kind of stuff. And Iran and the leaders of that government, they're not going to back down. They're not going to be like, hey, you won at all. I feel like you would have to completely annihilate the leadership there. Absolutely. To declare a victory. So
yeah,
I feel like you'd probably have to either physically invade, or you'd have to escalate some aerial attacks, either aerial or offshore, which would be an absolute mess and an absolute disaster. And I don't believe any of it's justified. Or you have to remove yourself, and then it turns into another L on our record with us going into the Middle East. And it almost reminds me of a little bit of Vietnam, because there's never really, this one's very cut and dry. Whereas, you can think of Afghanistan as more of a regime change, and the other ones, like Iraq, that's more of a regime change as well. This one, especially with the midterms coming up, they need to get the voter correct so that they're back on their side. And I don't know if they have enough time to do it. And it's just,
yeah.
Do you think
they're going to fix this? Do you think they're going to fix this before November? They better fix this. This is going to screw with GTA. But do you really think this is going to? Hey, I'm worried about the leaks in the game. Do your thing in Iran. Don't mess it up in November.
Call your congressman and tell them they need to fix this so that we can have a chill November.
Right.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I don't know. I think also at the same time, you have what a lot of other countries view as a strong leader, especially militarily, in Trump and his administration. You got Pete Hegseth and that whole group, and they're, like gung ho, not getting the job done. They're kind of just in this weird stalemate over there. And obviously, what we talked about last week with USS Abraham Lincoln just sitting out there, that's not good either. So
No.
I think it's a big L. It doesn't make us.
Bro, we're running out of
And
weapons.
also, it's on.
I mean, what an embarrassment.
know.
We're the biggest country and we're running out of weapons. They're not, because they can make drones for like $1,000. It takes us millions. And Russia's just giving it to them. And the worst part is like in Iraq, we weren't the good guys. This is even worse. They didn't do anything to us. I mean, we've been told for the last 30 years they're getting a nuclear weapon, and we have 2 weeks till they get a nuclear weapon. 2 weeks till they get a nuclear weapon for 30 years, right? What a joke. Who would actually do this? And we're not the good guys. Once again.
No.
I mean, it's kind of hoping we lose. No, I'm just kidding. I don't, obviously not. But, we aren't the good guys.
I mean, do we deserve the L?
Yes.
So
I mean, the country doesn't. Bro, this country should be
doesn't.
like El Dorado. It's crazy that anybody's even poor in this country. I mean, and this is only hurting it. And it's just disgusting. This whole thing has been a disaster. And I have a prediction for 2028 and 2032. And it's not going to look good. I think because of all of this, like you had Obama, right? And that swung this way. Then you had Trump and that swung this way. And then in 2028, it's going to swing off this way. And then in 32, it's going to be so far gone, you wouldn't even believe it. My prediction is in 2028, you're going to get a race communist like AOC or one of the people from like Michigan, the Muslim gentleman that just got in, just won there. You're going to get a race communist. And then you're going to get, and this, I don't want either one of these to happen, but then in 2032, you're going to get a right-wing guy that was a fan of the Austrian painter. And it's not going to be good. You're going to get someone so authoritarian that wants to just come in and crush everything. And it all started with Obama, then Trump, and then it's just going to be like, whoa. And then it's going to swing, it's going to swing even further. So just an idea I had last night of what might happen.
I think we are way too deep into the political system and the way that it's set up right now for us to be able to have a third party. And a third party would be the only thing that would make sense to get us out of this hellhole. But I think we're way past that. And it's kind of the train, the brakes on the train have been blown out, and you just got to let this thing ride. Yeah. I think the infrastructure of just the way that the politics in the U.S. is set up and the way that lobbying works and the way that there's so many insiders and so many people in the background shaking hands with one another and they're all friends, you would have to clean house, or it would have to be some type of, you'd have to use the R word. You'd have to be some type of revolution.
Yeah.
To really,
sorry.
No, you're good. It would have to be a deep cleansing. It would have to be a cleanse of the system.
I've thought the same thing, and I truly love Gen Z because they seem revolutionary. Like, you had all the older, they left the church. You have Gen Z coming back in droves. I think the boomers have to die off completely. A lot of Gen X. Millennials are good, but they're kind of like, God. But we need to get Gen Z in there, and I think they will be I think they're radically good. I don't think they're like French revolutionaries. Some of them are. Some of them are crazy, but like
some of them are crazy.
Right. I've had some of my employees, they were all Gen X's.
In a good way.
One was Catholic and the other one was a fan of Luigi that shot the guy. I'm not joking. This actually happened. So it's like, I'm like, wow, come on. So I do have hope at Gen Z, but we need the boomers. I mean, they completely destroyed America. We don't need to get into it, right? They have to die. Naturally, I don't think anyone needs to be hurt, right? They
Yeah,
need
I know. I
to
know. Yeah.
travel on peacefully, right? I don't
Yeah.
think any
Yeah.
bad thing, right? But they have to be voted out. They don't leave office, so they have to die out. I mean, look at they stayed till they're like 90, right?
Out,
But
out, out. Get them
out,
out.
out, out. Get them out. So, and then Gen X is kind of similar, but they're not as repulsive. And then you're going to need the millennials and especially Gen Z. If I could get like Congress, if it could be like 30, 40% millennial and 60% Gen Z, that would be amazing to me. You don't have any boomers, you don't have any Gen X. It's just the young guys. And they are going to start doing stuff like you wouldn't believe, in my opinion. So
What's
a lot
after?
of them don't have like crazy APAC money. A lot of them don't have, I'm talking about the small amount of Gen Zs and millennials that are there now. There's only like three. I think there's like one to three Gen Zs in Congress, but they don't take a lot of foreign money from what I've seen. A lot of them are like, they have a good thing of like, hey, yeah, let's not have healthcare bankrupt people, and they're conservative. You know, they have a good mix, it seems like. So
Gen Z and also Gen Alpha. I've heard good things about Gen Alpha as well, as far as them seeing things in Gen Z that they don't like, and they don't want to be associated directly with all of the criticism that Gen Z's had. Because Gen Z is known as, the Zoomers, and so they're more like scrolling, social media, things like that, which is why I've heard a lot of good things about Gen Alpha, which is more like, hey, I think they're a little more cognitive of like, oh, maybe I don't want to spend as much time scrolling or doom scrolling and kind of rotting and things like that. But yeah, no, I mean, Gen Z,
interesting.
Gen Z, I feel like you have to, I mean, that's, you have to get like 2 or 3 generations away from the current generation that's ruining everything, which is obviously, the boomers. Gen X, same thing. I completely agree with that. I think that's just kind of almost like a continuation, like it's like a watered down version, but then you get extremes on the left and on the right with Gen X.
Bro, Gen Z is actually kind of crazy. Like they apparently like Mein Kampf copies are like flying off the shelf with Gen Z. Like they've gone too far.
Dude.
I'm serious.
Dude.
Like I'm not about this is terrible. Like what are you doing? And so yeah, maybe Gen Alpha. We basically, I guess the millennials need to die off too. I don't know. You know?
Yeah, I would say that a lot, especially Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they are so up to date, for better or for worse, with information. And so now you have a lot of information is just not on the news, it's social media. And you had pros and cons to that is you couldn't fact check. So you had a lot of information, but none of it was really fact checked. You couldn't really trust news organizations and mainstream media, especially during COVID and post COVID, because it's all skewed. It's all BS on both sides, right? Everyone's trying to pivot and have their, speak their kind of language to their voter demographics and try to get them on board with whatever message that is. Then you have Gen Z, which is more like, hey, I'm not really into any of that. I'm not even listening to that. I get my news off of Twitter, and I get my news off of TikTok, and I get my news off of YouTube. So there's very like independent sources. And then now with AI, for better or for worse, I think this is a good thing. AI can fact check very quickly. So like when you're on Grok, you can fact check things. You can fact check anything on Twitter or X just by Grok. So if you see a post, you can click in the upper right hand, and there's a little Grok symbol. You can click that and you can ask it to fact check, and it'll fact check the post for you, which I think is cool. And then there's obviously reader comments as well. So like there's a community notes on X, which I like as well. And they will kind of fact check too. So I like that. I like that you can kind of source information independently now, and you can kind of get it on your own, and it's not kind of skewed left or right. And I was talking with some of my buddies, and we were joking how, there are boomers and especially like grandparents where they sit in front of the TV all day and they're retired. And so their whole premise of reality is whatever the news network is giving them at that time. And I was like,
they're so stupid.
There are people that literally think the world's ending right now because they're listening to the news.
Bro.
Like there's a grandma who's like, dude, if I get in my car to go get gas right now, I'll get shot. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
She thinks like there's like people burning down buildings and stuff like all the time. Like it's just
dude,
like
I was watching this video. I got to tell you before I forget, because there's like 3 things that I forgot about. This is so funny. There was these ICE protests going on. You know, these people get a little wild like this.
yeah.
They got whatever, right? But there was boomers there for this one. And they went up to these boomers, and the boomers didn't know why they were there. I was laughing so hard. They're like, why are you against ICE? And they're like, they're in cages. And they're like, no, they're not. And they didn't know why they were there. The signs were all crappy. And these people are so retarded. I don't think they're like paid actors or paid activists. It was so funny. I was watching this guy stream, and he's like, this is ridiculous. Like, they don't even know why they're there. At least the people, like the race communists, right, that show up in all the Palestine stuff, respect it, right? They do have some, but they have a reason. The boomers, they had no idea why they were even there.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So I was laughing so hard because as you were saying all that, I was thinking about these old people that have no idea what's the Fox News and CNN people that like don't know why they're there. They actually think that stuff is real.
No, they do.
They think the news is real.
Yeah.
Man.
And imagine you're getting fed that 24 hours a day.
They have added nothing.
You know?
They just parasite.
It's crazy.